Ready to be a boss? Test, survey, troubleshoot, and map Wi-Fi networks with the AirCheck G3 wireless analyzer. Super fast, portable, rugged, and for any skill level. Ready to add some cool to your kit? Check us out at netally.com/aircheck.
Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business. You know what? Hang on a second. That's not how I wanted to start the show. I have these wonderful guests on, and I put together another intro here. So tell me what you guys think of this. You're listening to the IT Business Podcast, the show for IT professionals everywhere. Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast, the show, as I said in the open, for IT professionals everywhere. This is the Wednesday live show, and I am joined by my friends from P-P-P-Pia. Tim Coach, Brooke Lee, and Joe Spiller in the house in their holiday gear and garb. Folks, how are you?
Good. We had to bring it, right? We had to bring it for this show.
You had to bring it. And I wanted to have that intro because I figured I needed to have that type of music to start the show. It is a holiday season, a little Christmas, but a little rock, right?
Yes,
must have it.
Absolutely.
Did it work?
It worked.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So for anybody joining us for the very first time, as I said, this is the IT Business Podcast presented by NetAlly. This is the show where we try to help other IT professionals, MSPs, run their business better, smarter, and faster. And most of the time, we are here trying to bring you products, share stories, talk about tips to do all that sort of stuff. Every now and then, I like to put together a show where we just hang out. Because you know what? Sometimes you got to have a little break in life. We're coming up on the holidays, and what better time to start than now? And this all started really because of my visit to IT Nation, where, I mean, I see you guys all over the place. It's not like that's the only place I see you, but it was the one time where we actually sat and hung out. And I thought, this is cool. Let's do this again.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it was weird. It was just around. I mean, you know how the big shows are. Every place, you're all over the place. Once in a while, you're just looking for a place to sit down, have a meal, get something to drink, collect your thoughts, and move on. It just so happened we had an extra chair at the table. And lo and behold, you were the guy that sat down. And then we lost about an hour and a half talking about music.
It was about an hour and a half.
It was no tech needed. So I should at least get some of the better introductions out the way. I introduced you by name. The company is Pia AI Desk, basically a package that can help us automate some of the things that we do with our RMM PSA package a little better. Did I get that right?
Yeah, pretty close. So essentially what the product in and of itself is it's a plugin that goes into your PSA, right? So like a chat bot. So in ConnectWise, you have your pods and auto task. You have a window that pops up. Of course, we just announced Halo and ServiceNow is on as well. But it's one of those things where it's an interactive feed for your technical people. And they just follow the bread bouncy ball like we all learned to sing when we were kids, right? You just follow the steps, because I know if I start singing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody's going to go along with the rest of that song because that's how we sing. Now, the things that we haven't really talked about, which are really going to be coming out here for sooner rather than later, is our product also allows you to either take the packages that we built, where you can just have that automation already built in. You can expand on those packages, or we actually allow you to write your own packages as well through a very easy portal. And that's something we're going to be probably talking about more in 2024. As we're sitting here talking about, we did a thing where we want to get the company out there and huge in 2023. And now we need to really dig into the business aspects of the tech of why it's so important for these MSPs that need to do it bigger, better, faster.
All right. Well, let me say this. I do want to talk about that stuff. I'm not a scripter guy. I'm not a package guy. I'd love for you guys to do it for me, but I'm going to have you guys on on another show where we can really dig into that, because I have this that I want to drink tonight, and I don't really want to be getting too heavy into all of that. So let me get this open, but let me go back and let's kind of recap IT Nation, because that's one of the things that really hit home with me. And it's something that I've been kind of focusing on this past year, is trying to figure out what is it that really draws me to people, to companies, and what makes me want to keep doing this. As a business, as an MSP, I spend my days battling clients and juniors all day long. And then I go to conferences to see vendors, see my friends, but it's a grind. Mm-hmm. But getting to see you guys that night, and it was, after everything was done, it was after dinner, after the event, and just sitting there hanging out and finally getting to meet you and see you, that was cool. That was refreshing. So let me ask the question. I think I asked you guys that night. I don't think I ever got a real good answer. Is, do you guys have those discussions all the time?
The one we had that night?
Yeah.
That we're leading into? Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, it's you know how it is. You're on the road and you're lucky enough to meet some people and make some really good friends. And I think you just create kind of these weird conversations, these weird questions that involve thought and involves people's actual passions. So we actually do have those conversations quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially about music. So I'm really into that. So we talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah, I got that. And actually somebody made a comment on one of the posts as we were promoting this, saying that, you guys are a rock band. I don't know that that's 100% true, but Joe, let me get this straight. Are you in a band, or were you in a band, or do you just love music?
Oh, no, I've been in bands pretty much all my life. Right now, I'm really in a recording project right now because we're, live in different cities. So it's more of a recording project, but always love music. It's always been a big passion of mine.
All right. So, Coach Brooke, how does that bring you guys in?
For the music part, because Joe's a real life rock star. So there's that. So, you get to work with a real life rock star. It's pretty cool. His music, the stuff that he's doing right now is real sort of, what do you want to call it? Heavy rock?
Hard rock.
Hard rock, which is not really the genre that I listen to. But I like it. I support Joe. And he just had a video that came out. So I was showing my daughter that, my youngest, when she's 16. And she just thinks Joe was like the coolest thing ever. Joe's like the best thing since sliced bread. And I showed her the video, and it's what's the name of the song? Nightmare. And so part of the video, he's got some blood going on and some scary vampire kind of stuff or whatever. And she's 16, so she's not like a little child, but she saw it. She was like, I don't really know that I want to meet Joe anymore. He's pretty scary in that video.
Yeah, basically I turned myself into a vampire in that video. So yeah, it was a lot of blood.
So Joe does the band stuff his entire life, done that. And one of the first events that we went to when I first joined Pia, and these two guys have known each other for a long time, we went to LA for an event. And Coach was like, Joe, he's not going to do karaoke. It's just not his thing. I've never been able to get him to do it. He's just, it's like, it's his stuff or whatever. And I was like, okay. So we end up at a bar and they have karaoke. And next thing we know, I got Joe to do karaoke. Then we got Coach to do karaoke. I have video of it. I'll show you one time so you can see it. Yeah, it was pretty epic because he was
It's
like,
not supposed to be. People aren't supposed to know that.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna show more. It'll be fun.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, if I'd have had that video, it'd have been playing.
And then they did. So he sang a Kiss song, and then they did a duet of Suspicious Minds. I have video.
Yeah.
A duet. Who was the other half?
Me and Coach were both singing
Oh.
Suspicious Minds up there at the same time.
Okay.
In a little bitty hole in the wall bar where half the people did not speak English. It was Spanish speaking mostly, and none of three of us speak Spanish, so we just like winged it.
We got a standing ovation out
Got a
of
standing
it.
ovation, standing ovation, and by the end of the night, the bar was buying us drinks, so it was a good night. Was had by all.
Nice. And look at that. Here's the quote that brings it all up. Eric Anthony from All Things MSP. MSPs plus karaoke plus bar equals epic.
Always.
Yeah, I did karaoke once. Never again.
I probably will not be able to get Joe to do it ever again, but it's one time we checked it off the list, so that was
Check the box.
Check the box. Got Joe to do karaoke.
All right. Now, Brooke, you said that rock is not your kind of music. What is your kind of music?
I like
You don't.
country. I like rap, R&B, pop. I was on an EDM kick pretty hard this year. I don't know how I got off on that side road. Did a lot of that this year. I like classic rock. I also like classical. Vivaldi's my guy. Love him. He's the best. I don't know. I like a lot of different things. I don't really have a particular genre that I like.
I like
Bee Gees kick earlier this year.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll bring like a little portable speaker or whatever, and we'll have it at the booth for some of the smaller shows, or if it's a show that doesn't have music. And I've got a playlist for that, and it's all sort of like I want to say 70s and 80s. It's like stuff that's like just people come by and they just start like dancing because it's just dancing music.
Stuff that matches our age.
Ooh, ouch. Well, Brooke, I like that because I go all over the place as well. People like to try to, peg me down to one genre, but doesn't happen.
I'm just everywhere, all over the place. It's, I don't know, just whatever. If I like the song, I just like, it can be an artist and I just like one of that person's song. Okay, it's in the playlist.
I think all three of us are really like that. We'll listen to just about anything.
All right.
Yeah, we were in a place last night, and we were leaving. The song comes on. They're playing primarily country music, and Joe and I started singing. And she whipped around and she's like, I had no clue. Like we were singing the song word for word verbatim. She had no clue that we could do that song. I don't even remember what the song was.
I don't remember.
It's just stuff gets stuck in your head from being a kid. You hear it all the time when you're a kid, and it just automatically kicks in when you hear it.
So as I was sitting here thinking, how am I going to let this show play out? Because the true podcaster is supposed to have questions ready and scripts and be ready to go any direction. I don't know where we're going tonight, so this will be quite interesting. Coach, you mentioned, songs from kids. We always go back to the songs that we remember. So I'll just ask this as a introductory softball question. What's the first song that you remember really loving as a kid?
Oh, for me, it was probably, it would have had to been my mom listening to Elvis, right? So I knew, like, Elvis was there pretty wrong because she was, my mom was born in if I want to get it right, my sister will correct me if I'm wrong. She was born in the 40s, so she was right there when Elvis was like big and he was going, and she remembered all that. So, but I would definitely say it was probably Elvis's stuff back in the day.
All right. What about your first song that you fell into outside of the family?
Oh, see, I'm going to go, like, everybody's going to hate it. But, like, for me, like, growing up where I grew up, it was very rural. So there was a lot of country music that was played, but it was old country. I mean, with, what we call older, it was George and Garth and all those guys, and, Hank at the end of Hank. But I remember for me, like, one day I was listening to something, and all of a sudden I heard Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard. And everybody hates that I tell that story, but I was like, what is going on here? Because that's just something that my friends listen to it. I just never listened to it. And that started pushing me more into that rock era, and then getting in some trouble with because the album covers back then. I mean, God forbids people see those now, but they were a little sketchy back then. So
Yep.
there's a little rough times listening to new music.
All right, Joe, were you always into rock?
No, one memory I forgot. I did an interview with for the band a couple weeks ago, and I totally forgot about this because they asked me the same question. But my mom used to sing Patsy Cline "Crazy" to me every night when I went to bed, and I had that ingrained in my head. I don't know if you ever heard that song. It's a way back.
Yep, I've heard it. Yeah.
It's she used to sing that to me, and I remember that distinctly. So, but I was taken to country concerts and all that when I was young, and so really I'm a huge Elvis fan. That was my big, first thing was getting Elvis records, and then I started getting into the rock with Kiss and all the 80s metal, hard rock kind of stuff. But I'm all over the place. I love disco. I couldn't say it then because I was a rock kid, but you really couldn't say that. But
Yeah, those were fighting words back then.
Yeah, but disco, loved it.
It
Like
was all
Jock
over the place back then, right? Because you had some really big country people, like going through like high school. When we went through high school, think about the music, right? Because it was everything from like Boy George, Garth Brooks, right at the end or right around there is like when
Garth was after Boy George.
Yeah.
Garth was later.
Yeah, Garth was later.
A little bit later. But that was also like I know when I was in high school, like that's when NWA hit too.
Right.
And like that was just like a sound nobody had heard before.
Right.
So it was like I think that's where we all come from, especially as 80 kids musically. The fact that we're all over the place it's because our music was all over the place.
No Vanilla Ice?
Of course, Vanilla.
Of course, Vanilla.
Yeah,
Right?
Of course.
Hip hop, all that. I mean, it was a melting pot of music, at that time. And just discovering all those different types of music. I felt like shaped me for what I wanted to do, musically, anyways. I can still use any of that stuff within my music, even if it's hard rock. So beats, all that kind of stuff. You can just go crazy with it.
All right. Interesting answers.
Yeah. Brooke?
The first song that I can remember is back then they would, after school, we would come home and they would advertise stuff on TV and you would have to call a 1-800 number to order something. And the first thing that I did is I ordered an album. I saved up my money, sold it. I gave my mom money. She had to write the check. I'm going to mail the check in. They're going to mail it back. It was Eddie Rabbit. I Love a Rainy Night.
Yes.
I saved up and I bought that album with my own money. And that's the first like song I can remember like really being attached to.
Interesting.
Still love that song.
Yeah.
Still love that song.
The check thing, right? That's the check thing. That's what's funny is that led into when was it where like I don't even remember the name of the group, but you could like for 99
Columbia
cents.
House.
Columbia House. Yep.
99 cents, they ship you 10 albums today.
Man. All those cassettes, and we used to have those big boxes that we kept it in.
Yeah,
No, remember the Walkman?
Yeah.
Like the yellow one. I got one for Christmas one year, and the first one I played on it was I had the BC Boys album on cassette.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that actually paid it.
I had to pay the money.
I just went to the next one.
But that was like that's how you got stuff back then. There was infomercials, and you would call a number, and you would mail them a check, and then the stuff would come in the mail, and that's how we bought crap back in the day. There was no internet.
There's gonna be youngins watching this podcast go, what are you talking about?
They know what we're talking about because they talk about it all the time. But yeah, Columbia House, I did that for years.
Yeah.
It was a great
you do the 99 cents, you do 1 month, and then you cancel and wait for them to send you hey, we want you back. Here's 20 for 99 cents.
Right.
Oh my God.
But then it's like music formats changed, right? I mean,
now we can stream everything.
Yeah, anything. I mean, I remember 8 tracks, right? I mean, I remember vividly getting in the car and throwing an 8-track in.
and then cutting out like part of the song, and then
Yep.
you get to
You got like,
Yeah.
push a little
Or
bit
pulling the 8-track out and all the ribbon comes out. And all the ribbon's still in the player.
the pencil trick for the cassette.
Yep.
to twist it back in there.
So if music were a soundtrack to your lives, what would that soundtrack be? And I'm asking for a very specific type of answer.
Be a big old mixtape.
That's exactly what I would do. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, memories, right? I mean, that's they just.
But remember, back then you couldn't do mixtapes back then. When you bought an album, you bought an album and you wore that thing out.
Oh,
And the only way to create a mixtape was to, once we first got the ability to record,
Right.
But-
wait on the radio
On the radio, and then play record. Yeah.
and wait for the DJ to stop talking so he didn't mess up the intro to your song.
Yep. People are watching this. They all want to know. All three of us immediately win.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 buttons, yes.
Your buttons.
Yep.
What about you? What was your first song that you just kind of lit you up, and then further down the road, a genre you hadn't listened to that just totally spun you from where you were?
So it's hard for me because, again, I didn't start with a particular genre. Of growing up, my parents, Sunday afternoons, we had, the R&B collection on the wheel to wheel. And so it was the Commodores and, all of them, Lionel Richie and all of those. So, but when I started listening to music, I went through everything. I had a Kiss album. I had an Ozzy Osbourne album. I had not John Denver, but there was another country music guy that I had. Later it was, Joan Jett. I listened to, of course, Foreigner, Chicago, Kansas, Styx, all of them. So I was all over the place. So there wasn't anything that I really settled into, except that I took a very keen interest in listening to country because it would freak people out back then.
Well, why would that be?
The same reason that I could talk to ladies on the phone or girls on the phone and get a date only to prove to them that I was black. But you don't sound black. And you listen to country music.
That's because music doesn't care, right? It's just whatever. It's all over the place. It's where you're in. It's emotional. It's memories.
Yeah.
I mean, there's songs that play today. If I'm listening to the older stations, right, from like when I was in high school and junior high, and I'll be like, yeah, that was my Wallflower song. That was a song that the dance was going on. I stood over in the corner, and the girls were on the other side. And I'm like, how do you talk to those over there?
Yeah, the great thing about music is, like I think you mentioned earlier, like you can listen to something that comes on the radio from way back, and it just brings a certain memory back to you. Like could be about your mom or an ex-girlfriend or something like that. It's just a rush of memories when you hear something that you haven't heard in a while.
Well, let me go back.
The other big one too, back in the day, roller skating rinks.
Yeah,
Man, that
snowballs.
music was all over the place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where, so if you couldn't dance, you went to the skating rink to skate with somebody and you waited for the couples only song.
Yes.
Yep.
Mom's dropped you off. Come back, pick you up in like 3 hours.
Then you had to learn how to backward skate.
Nah.
And then you had to do the crossover. You had to do the foot crossover so you look cool. Oh yeah.
I always watched the girls that could go backwards, and I wouldn't pick them.
You go frontwards.
So let me ask this. This was a question that I got into a discussion with somebody else with just the other day. So a lot of the kids are hearing music that when we listen to them, they're like, wait a minute, that's not their song. That's a remake of a song from 20 years ago or 30 years ago. So there's two parts to this. What do you think of today's artists that are just completely remaking songs and trying to pawn them off on their own? I'll let that one go first, and then I'll come back with part two.
So to me, I don't know, because same thing. I hear songs because she's 16, so I'm listening to all kinds of crap in the car that I'm not going to listen to if this kid wasn't in the car. There was Bad Bunny has a song out now, Monaco. It samples really hard out of the gate, but it's a guy that's like it's a Parisian singer. It's in French. I don't even know what it is. But all the kids are singing this song now. There's no way they would know that if this guy hadn't sampled it. So to me, there's like two sides to it. Yes, they sampled it. Okay, you didn't come up with your own stuff. But now there's a whole generation of people that are going to know the songs. Like, because what happens is if I hear it, I will tell her, oh my gosh. So as soon as it gets done, I'll bring up Spotify and I'll go get the original song. And I'll be like, this is where this song came from. So to me, it's kind of, there's, it's the balance. Yeah, they sampled it, but like I said, nobody would know this song now if they hadn't sampled it for this other guy.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it brings back that old music that they may have never heard before. And,
yeah, but I would like to see them credit, so people can go back and listen, because that's what the kids are, right? They're hearing their
I mean,
version,
they're getting paid.
but it's like, go back 2 or 3 versions of that song. I mean, we're talking yesterday, because we're trying to figure out what you were going to ask us. And we were talking yesterday, and you were talking specifically about how many songs Prince had written for other people.
Oh yeah, like a ton.
Right. Same thing with Dolly. Like they just wrote a ton. They wrote this talking about this yesterday. I think Joe, you were the one talking about it. You and Brooke, that how much music they had wrote for other people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will always love you. Dolly Parton wrote that. She sings it, and I'm a Dolly fan. It's horrible. She's terrible singing that song. It's bad. Whatever. I mean, you can say what you want. Whitney killed it, and
Yeah.
Dolly's still getting paid.
Well, 95% of the world think that's Whitney's song.
Yeah.
Good.
And she has it, but I mean, it's so like one of my favorite Dolly songs is Jolene. Other people do it. It's an absolute train wreck. She sings it. She kills it on that one. I mean, it's just, and she was, I watched, there was a documentary that was on, I think it was on Netflix about Dolly Parton. And she said, I knew that I was not, I wrote the song, but she was like, this wasn't me. I can't do this song. It's not my thing. And so when she lets Whitney have it, she was like, that was it. She said, that was the person that song was for. That song wasn't for me. It was for her. So even though she had written the song, she was like, I knew this just was like not going to work. And then when she found Whitney and Whitney was like, I want to do the song, she was like, that's who that song was written for. It wasn't written for me.
I can't believe you don't like Dolly's version.
Of I Will Always Use. It's so bad, dude.
It's good.
It's not. It's terrible.
It's good.
Terrible.
All right, I'm scrapping part 2 of the question I was going to ask. Let me go back onto this because this will piggyback. So, talking about different versions, who wrote the songs. So the original question that came up at IT Nation was, what artist today would in the future, match the level of a Michael Jackson or a Prince? And who is our third person? Elvis. But so here's the twist I'm going to throw in there. Do we count people that have had influence because of the songs that they wrote that maybe somebody else sang?
I don't think you can, because they're not easily recognizable, right? And then just so that question has a caveat of U.S. only, because people are going to bring up the Stones and they're going to bring up all these other great bands, but it's like the question is based around, do we have anybody kind of U.S. based, kind of North American born almost, that will ever meet or exceed or drive the craziness that those three drove? And Joe and I, being from Kansas City, obviously there's this giant Swiftie movement that has hit the city, but the reality of it is she's still very specific to a couple of genres. Very important in that world, makes good music, great music, depending on which side you sit on. If you ask Brooke, she'll say otherwise. But the point being is, it doesn't matter what kind of bar you're in. You hear Elvis, Prince, or MJ go, and the whole bar is on that song.
Well, we talked about the fact that while Taylor is a talented artist, not only does she not cross over genres, most of her success is a social media thing, not a music thing. At least that's my opinion.
disagree.
I think she wrote some good songs, though. I mean, she is a true songwriter too.
She is. But if you take away the social media, is she really
If
that
Taylor's
big?
watching this, I'm just want to make sure that she knows that I'm.
Listen, if Taylor is watching this show, if this somehow gets back to Taylor, I want there to be a Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce announcement live on this show when they get married, and not at the expense of a Tony Romo misspeak.
That'd be a big podcast for you.
It may drive some ratings. But it's like, I just don't feel like there's.
I don't know of anybody. I can't name one right now.
And Joe and I
mean,
love,
here's the thing.
There's another female artist out there that Joe and I love. It's still in the genre. It's still kind of, she does some crossover, but not as epic as she pulled back. And that is Pink.
Yes.
I love Pink. But she pulled back once she had children. She decided her life needed to go a different way. She puts on amazing concerts. I love her voice, but she just pulled back from that point where, and I don't think she crosses genres enough to ever get there.
Now, do we think that
if Whitney wouldn't have passed early, I mean, would she have been one? You know, everybody I know that hears a Whitney song is singing along to a Whitney song.
Yeah, but it's only a handful. I don't know that she would have sustained that, because here's the thing: Mariah Carey was on that path.
Yeah.
So she jacked her voice up. Now she can't sing at all.
Brooke, don't hold back. Just in case anybody has any questions, Brooke, don't hold back.
She can't. Have y'all seen her like trying to go live with her little Christmas song? It's awful. It's all like auto-tune. It's bad.
Yeah. Wasn't Garth on that trajectory?
He was. I think he was. There's a couple things that hurt Garth from that trajectory. One was obviously the fact that he decided to stay at home and got out of music for a while. The other one is he did a crossover.
That was that Chris thing.
Chris
Gaines. Chris
Stapleton or whatever that.
Chris
Gaines. That's it. Yeah.
It was supposed to be for a movie, so the soundtrack came out before the movie, and then they canned the movie. And, you know, the quote unquote purists, right? Which there are no such things. Yeah, they all, like, everybody went down. So I think that hurt him too.
Yeah, I remember that. And I too was one of those. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And you know what? You can't listen to his music anywhere. You have to buy his streaming platform to listen to any Garth music. He is not on Spotify. He is not on Pandora. He is not anywhere. I cannot go find Friends in Low Places anywhere and get it. You have to go through his streaming platform because he thought that was a great idea.
All right, so obviously that's a problem because because in today's age, artists want to retain ownership rights. They want to get that money. They want to get the royalties. Now, back in the day, that wasn't the thing. They had to go through the radio stations. They had to go through the producers and stuff. There were machines that helped push that out. But it was the public that really drove that.
Right.
I don't know that the public drives music these days.
Well, Joe actually has, because Joe's constantly in music, and he's got this new project going on that's going pretty well for him. He knows a lot of statistics. How many songs a day are you saying is released right now?
What is it, 180,000 a minute on Spotify? Some crazy number. Because everybody can record now. And I mean, you don't have to go to a real studio. There's people recording from home in their little home studios.
You can upload it.
Anybody can pay a distribution service to upload that music. So we're all over the place. We're on Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. We're out there. And anybody can do it now.
But are you lost in the sea of other music?
Oh yeah, we're totally lost.
Heck
I
yeah.
made $12.37 off my streaming this year.
That's a beer.
One. It's not even a beer in Vegas.
Oh my goodness gracious.
The artists are not getting paid. That's for real. The streaming is just horrible for artists. The only way they can make money now is to tour heavily, and merchandise. It's where they're making their money.
It's kind of the life of a podcaster. I get it.
Yeah,
It's the same thing.
right.
Oh my goodness gracious. So I started listening to Christian Bush. You recognize his name?
I do
I
not.
don't think so.
He was the other part of Sugarland.
Okay, I'm with you now.
Okay.
So he obviously could have just lived off of his family business, Bush Beans, and he made
Right.
it big with Sugarland, and then they split up for whatever reason. And I have seen him doing a little thing. He had a podcast where he was doing like 52 or something like that, and he was doing songs that he did with Sugarland that were famous, and then songs that he was doing after the fact. And he did a special where he talked about life as a musician. Once you've hit it big, if you can't sustain it, you just drop.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, trying to adjust to life outside of Sugarland has just been quite interesting, because he said, not that his music was the case, but he said he knows a ton of musicians and singers that are really, really good, but they're just not being seen.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's very few out there. I mean, it's Dave
Matthews.
Dave Mustaine.
Dave Mustaine for Megadeth.
No, so Nirvana, right? Kurt Cobain passes.
Yeah. Dave Grohl.
Foo
Foo Fighters.
Fighters. And then that's one of the few that has gone outside of a major platform to make it out on their own.
Yeah. But you've done as far. I mean, it's very few though. That's the issue.
Yeah. All right. So let me go back.
You could put Joan Jett in there, right? She did on her own outside of the Runaways.
Yeah, but didn't she do that from the beginning though?
Well, her and Lita Ford, they're all part of the Runaways, and then once the Runaways blew, then they went out on their own and started doing their own thing. So, but I think the Runaways is what really made them started it.
Got their names all out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they all went solo.
So who was bigger after leaving the band and going solo? Who do you think?
Out of them? Out of
No, just in
Runaways?
general, like in a
Ozzy
band.
Osbourne.
Okay.
He was probably the biggest I know that left a band and then went on a solo career.
It was bigger.
I mean, well, you can go George Michael and Wham.
But see, you and Ozzy have something in common.
Finally,
You were both kicked out of the band.
that's true.
Oh man. All right. I think, I have tons of questions, but this is your show. So what do you guys want to chat about?
We're having a good time. No, it's like we were happy we could be in one space and get on here, and we can talk whatever you want to talk.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question then. Have you ever been excited to see or hear a blast from the past, and then when you heard them was like, oh, not what I expected, not what I wanted, or disappointed?
I'm going to say it, and I know, like what I can't even. I don't even think of his name, but it was like '90s was a big band, and I just heard them. What is his name? I can't even think of it, and it was so far off his original singing that I actually had to take a couple of looks to see if they were actually singing.
Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses?
Oh no, he's horrible. Vince Neil or
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I've been pretty lucky. All the concerts I've ever been to.
I went to a Miranda Lambert concert. She's great on the radio, not in person.
Really?
God.
Okay, but isn't there a lot of artists that are good in studio or on the radio and not in live? And is that because of auto tuning?
I don't know. Do you know Midland, the band?
I've heard of them, but I don't know. I don't know if I would recognize their music.
Drinking Problem was one of their big songs. They
Okay.
came to Little Bitty Savannah. And at that particular time, we had now the Savannah Bananas play there, but it used to be the Savannah Sand Gnats. And they did a concert there, and they had just come on the radio. And I was like, these guys are like the best. And I saw them in concert. And again, it is small, stage small. So like acoustics suck, everything sucks. But they were absolutely amazing. They were like better in person than on the radio. And I was just like, these guys are like it. They just killed it.
Okay. I'm looking them up on the Google here.
Yeah, I was thinking about like so I've seen so many documentaries like on Leonard Skinner on how good they were live all the time because they practiced like 8 hours a day. And they were so good live. But yeah, I think the worst one I saw was Motley Crue.
Were they bad?
yeah.
Yeah, they were really bad. And
Yeah.
that was when they were really young too.
Well,
that was like,
Well, yeah, and then like as they've gotten older,
it's even worse.
it's yeah.
But then, they did not sound like the record. I'll tell you that. So there's stories on how they put that record together too. Like, singing. There were so many words that he had to sing, he couldn't just get the breaths out, so they pieced it all together. So
Did they really did that? I heard that
Yeah.
they did that, but I'm like,
there's a lot of artists that's happened to.
Well,
that's got to take forever.
Yeah, they pay big money for that.
Well, that's what Billie Eilish did a video like a year or two ago. She was doing an interview, and she was walking them through how they mixed it and all the different takes to get that one song for her to have the sound that she wanted because she couldn't carry. And I think probably most of them have. I think this probably is for the most part. It's like how many times do you sing or record a song straight through the?
Oh, no way. There's no way. I piece things together too. Let's be honest. It could be a line that I like.
No, I thought you ripped it out in one shot.
First take, baby. Every time. No, it could be
like a podcaster.
Yeah. So I'll do multiple takes and then I'll take the best take, of course, out of that.
Tell anybody who's getting right now.
Sorry, somebody tried to ambush my podcast here.
Oh man.
Oh well.
That's all right.
So I'm trying to think if I have a story because I don't go to concerts. The last two concerts I were at was Home Free, the a cappella group.
How was
that?
How was that?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them. They are good. So Home Free and Pentatonics, if I had to pick my favorite artists right now, those are the two groups. Which is kind of ridiculous because they're mostly known, a cappella cover band is basically what they are.
Yeah.
Although
they've got a mix that they did with Dolly Parton, and they did Jolene together.
Yes,
Unbelievable song.
Pentatonics has several things that they've done. They've got their Christmas specials.
Their Christmas music kills it.
Yeah, they are fantastic. If I had money, I would just basically have them two together for a concert and bring all my people together. That would be like my reunion weekend would be those two in a concert.
That'd be cool.
There you
go.
So what was your first concert?
My very first concert?
Yep.
Something called Night of Joy.
Okay.
So back in the 80s, Disney decided to do what they called a Night of Joy, where they would bring Christian groups into Disney and have concerts, and they'd have 4 or 5 groups at a time in Disney.
Okay.
There you
And
go.
I went because there was a group called Petra.
Petra, yeah.
Yep.
I
Yep.
remember them.
So that's what I went to go see Petra.
What was your first?
My first concert that I remember.
That I remember.
Not that it was that.
Really bad thing to say. No, when I was really young, I got to go to a Waylon Jennings concert.
Oh wow.
So that was really my first big concert I ever went to. I was
Okay.
really young too.
Public Enemy.
That was your first one?
Yeah.
Good God.
It was great.
Mine was
Coach?
Rat.
Oh, okay.
Little
Is that the
bitty
Round
place
and Round
in
group?
is where they performed. I went.
All right. Interesting.
But it's all of us. We have different genres of music to listen to, but that is like one of the things that when we travel together, like Joe and I, if we can find live music somewhere, I mean, we'll walk as far as we have to walk, and we'll tell him it's just another like 2 minutes. Just keep walking; it'll be fine. But we will find live music anywhere. Like there is a band that plays in Orlando, and we go to Orlando a lot. And Joe and I will try to time it, and we'll meet and go in like a day early because they only play on Saturday nights. And that band, I mean, the first time we heard them, we were just like, what? Joe was impressed. So if Joe was ever impressed with like a band, a guitarist, a singer, whatever, then I know it's like good stuff. These kids killed it. So we'll literally go in early just to watch this band.
Yeah, they were great. We've seen them about 3 or 4 times now.
All right. So I'm making a note here that the next time we're in Orlando, I'm gonna find you all so we can do this.
Gotta go.
One time we were in Orlando, we had come in, had come from we were on what I call one of those long ones. We had a show and whatever, and we got to Orlando, and I needed to go to Ulta. I needed some shampoo. I was out of shampoo. And Joe was like, I'll walk with you. We'll go. So it was like across the street from the hotel. So we go over there. We're futzing around the Ulta. And I already told him when we were walking over there, I was like, don't talk to anybody in there. Because these girls, the sales girls, are going to be just like all over you. And I was like, no, they're going to talk you into stuff that you don't need. You just like right here, focus. He was like, all right, I got it. I'm like, I'm going to go in and get my stuff, and we're going to get back out. I go in, I get my stuff, I'm in line. Next thing I know, this girl's like, hey, we have this thing. And he's like, and I'm like, get in the checkout. We got to go. So we check out, we come out thing, and we're like walking, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do next. We're going to get something to eat or whatever. And all of a sudden, he and I were both like, stop. And we're like,
What is
where's
that?
that music coming from? We didn't know. And we just start like crisscrossing through the parking lot. We end up like walking into some bar, like I don't know how far away. They have live music there. So we stay there the rest of the night.
There you go.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty easy. So if you're ever in town early or late, or you want to know where the Pia crew is, if you find live music, you'll find us.
All right. That'll be the thing to do. So again, next time we're together, I'm doing that. Now, you guys now are in Georgia.
Yep.
Savannah.
Yes, sir.
So I was just in Georgia, but nowhere near Savannah.
Where were you?
I was in a place called Talking Rock, which is up in the mountains near Ranger, Georgia.
I don't know that town either.
Okay. It is, let me see if I can figure out what else is near there. It is basically northwest of Atlanta.
Okay.
Let's see.
That's hillbilly country. You need to be careful up there. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know.
Boys are crazy.
Okay. Jasper. You know where Jasper is?
Nope. Atlanta's about it. I'll go to Atlanta and do some stuff. That's about it. We kind of keep
Okay.
ourselves down here in Savannah.
Let's put it this way. It's about an hour north of Alpharetta. I'll just say it that way.
Okay. You were way on up there.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I used to drive up there, because I would fly into Atlanta and then drive up, I'd go up, 75, 85, and then go up through Woodstock and drive through this 2-lane highway. And I once got to a place called White, Georgia. Don't think I saw a white person.
I've been to White, Georgia, because I had to stop at a gas station, and you can't take the plastic there. It has that thing you like pull the handle, you have to go inside, and they're like,
Yes.
yes, that's
Really?
it.
The little slider thing?
Yes, it's White, Georgia, because I was like, I was like on fumes, and I had my youngest daughter with me, and I'm like, we're gonna have to stop at this gas station. It looks super sketchy. I hop out, and I'm like, okay, so I gotta go inside, gotta pay, and she's like, what is because it's got that little switch. You got to flip back to the day. And she was like, thinking we're in the Twilight Zone or something. I've been to that town. It's the only gas station there.
Yep. There's one gas station. Their post office is like,
Yep.
it's like
Looks like
10
a shed.
boxes. It's
Looks like a shed.
So we got to ask, what were you doing there?
so, so my family on the wife's side lives up there.
Okay.
And her brother built, well, he didn't build it, but they bought an old cabin that they're fixing up, and it's a multi-year project.
Okay.
And he's basically building this up as a family retreat
Nice.
to match what they used to do as kids. They are from Ohio, and one of their summer things that they used to do was go to Canada every year. And they had cabins up there. There was a lake, and they would spend a week or two up at the cabins in Canada. So they're trying to recreate that. So he's building, redoing this cabin, and it literally it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no internet. There's no.
That could be a good thing. Come on.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
that,
But I mean, it's literally, let's put it this way. The first time I had to drive down the mountain in the dark, in the snow, I thought I was going to drive because there are no guardrails. It's literally barely enough for one car to drive up and down. And if you drive off the wrong way, you're gone.
Welcome to death.
Yeah. So, but that's what they do. That's their Christmas. The second weekend in December every year. She goes up there for a week. I fly in for the weekend, and we do Christmas up there.
That's pretty
that's
neat.
awesome.
Yep. So I usually will drive in. I'll fly in Thursday night, spend the night so I can drive up during the day.
Yeah.
And leave on Sunday because I got to get back and do the business.
Yeah, right. Do the business. There's always the business, right? Always.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the donuts.
Yeah. So let's bring this back to tech here. I know you guys, you can't stay all night. So let's just bring it back. We talked about this in the sense of it's a good thing to be able to sit and hang out and just chat. You guys live as vendors on the road pretty much all year long. What's it like from your perspective going to these conferences and seeing people like us on the MSP side?
So they're looking at me. So I guess I personally love it. So my background, or Joe and I's background, is we rebuilt a bunch of MSPs before we started doing this. So I've been part of the community. We've been part of the community for quite some time. I love it because for a couple of reasons. I love the people I meet. I love the people I see. But the thing that I always say that I love about our industry the most is it's an industry of servitude. Everybody is there to help everybody. And it doesn't matter if you're a frenemy or if you're a competitor in the area. If you walk up to somebody and say, hey, I need some help, they're not going to turn you down. They're going to listen to what you need help with, and they'll either figure out if they can help you or if they know somebody. And I think that's what I love about going to the shows and meeting with the MSPs. It's constantly an industry of how can I help you in what way?
We met some amazing people.
Yeah.
I mean, lifelong friends. I mean, there's people that we've met that I'll be friends with long after we're not in this space anymore. They're good people. We helped, who was it? Solutions Granted put their booth together in Vegas.
Yeah. That's what we do.
Exactly. I mean, it's
Was that
people
before or after their bourbon drink?
It's probably after.
Right. No, well, I think Michael was in by himself. The rest of the team was coming in. He just needs some help. But it's like if you have a booth and somebody else has got a booth like yours and they're missing a part,
we've loaned stuff out.
Yeah.
We've loaned stuff out. We've gone up the proverbial everybody. Hey, can I borrow your tape?
Oh my gosh. Bring some tape, people. Bring some tape.
But the point is the thing that I love about it most is the people and the ability to help without expecting anything. Like everybody in this industry is about helping each other personally, professionally, with your business, whatever we can do. We do that.
The same for the MSPs too. I mean, they're all in. I mean, you guys all get in groups, and help each other. I mean, it's just a great overall industry. I mean, to be on the vendor side also, everybody works together.
Well, I do want to say this as an MSP, even though sometimes I blur the lines as a podcaster and I get to see sides that most of us don't see. One of the things that I have appreciated seeing more of is vendors being human and not, we get to see a lot of times the money grubbing side where we're just getting hounded with calls and sign up for a demo and we're better than everybody else. And I think there's this resurgence of, hey, let's just going back to being decent people. And there's plenty of room for all of us to exist. We don't have to be jerks. We can like each other. We can hang out. So I just want to say that I appreciate that. I mean, Coach, I have seen you at least 2-3 years out there on the circuit and never got, a little creepy feeling from you, even though you think I did.
I appreciate that. It's nice not being creepy.
Oh my goodness gracious. So I put the
that is a good compliment because we all know there's certain times you're in the environment. Not me, but we all know there's certain people that can be creepy, and we're like, okay, that's a compliment. I'll take that all day long.
Hey, that's just me going off scripts. I'm just, speaking from the heart. I appreciate, the relationship that, even I'm not, for full disclosure, I've never done a demo with you guys. I, haven't used you guys, but I think that you guys are one of the top vendors in the channel just by reputation. I'll say it like that.
Thank you.
So,
we appreciate that.
All right.
Well, Mark,
I've
if
put
you go to that website you just popped up there. There's a book. There's a book.
There's a what?
Up to the right.
Right there. Hey, what you're looking for? What's right there?
Yeah. So if you look at the screen as we pimp Pia, and go to your chat, Pia.ai, book a demo at the top right there, and do the Pia AI desk. Revolutionize your service desk. That'll be great. All right, guys. I know we have a hard out because you guys said you need to go, so you get spared the Florida man or random question. But here's what I will ask you to do.
All right.
Since there are 3 of you, I will ask you to pick a number 1, 2, or 3, and that will be the Florida man story that I will share. So what number shall we do?
We're picking 2.
2. Okay. So the first story. Florida man gives iMac to alligator was the first story. The second story, South Florida man arrested for stealing SpongeBob necklace. So police arrested a South Florida man who allegedly stole a yellow metal necklace with a SpongeBob pendant from another man on Monday. The theft occurred around 12:35 p.m. According to reports, the suspect, identified as Carl Banks, approached the victim, began yelling at him, then snatched the $100 necklace from his neck.
Give me
He
your
fled the
SpongeBob
scene.
necklace.
$100 SpongeBob necklace. Yeah.
I just want to
Why would you
I
buy
know who spent $100 on it.
Florida man?
Right.
Oh my goodness gracious. So he was later caught and transported to the correctional center and booked on a charge of strong arm robbery with prejudice.
What are you in for, buddy? Well,
Sold it. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. Well, guys, again, I know we're getting close here. I want to say thank you for coming on. I know this was kind of an impromptu thing at the last minute. You guys obliged. Thank you very much. Thank you for dressing up for the occasion. And I promise we will get you back on soon. We'll do a proper show and talk about Pia and hear everything that you have to offer us. All right.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thanks for having us on. And anything you need from us, we're always happy to help.
I appreciate that. So, folks, that's going to do it for this show. Next week, there will be a show. It is the year-end holiday special, the last show of the year. You should know that voting is ongoing right now for the best podcast episode of the year, the best guest of the year, and the best vendor swag. Head over to itbusinesspodcast.com, click on the queue, and
Why do you
vote.
have prizes? We could have done something else, been better gifts. I'll be ready next time. I got it now. I want to be.
All right.
I know, right?
You gotta pay attention to the show, Brooke. See, now you'll pay attention.
Oh,
All right. So head over to the website, itbusinesspodcast.com, click on the queue, vote. All of that will be revealed next week on the live show, Holiday Podcast. I have a bunch of MSPs, a bunch of vendors that'll be coming on saying salute to 2023, getting ready for 2024. That's going to do it. And saying thank you to Coach, Brooke, and Joe for hanging out. That's going to do it for this show, folks. We'll see you next time. And until then, holla.